Alright YouTube, this is a video, just basic video on dry washing, and I want to show you some things on a dry washer. This is mine. This was built by a friend of mine years ago. Joe Johnson was his name, and if you look close here, it says on the end here, Weekend Gold. That was the name of his company. He built quite a few of these. This is number 2. It's the second one he ever built, and we're still using it, and that's been probably 18 years ago. So if you look close here, it has a bail down here at the bottom, and this bail is hooked to a spring, and what that does, it takes and puts more vibration into the dry washer itself. You can see it bounces because of that spring. My other dry washer doesn't have the spring. I've decided against that type of thing. The other one is the tray here. If you look, is hooked down here at the bottom, and the tray is removable along with the riffles. Some of the newer ones don't do that. It's just a different way of doing it. It's not a big deal. And typically of dry washers, it's an X-frame here that when it folds up, it's just flat. 2 bungees go around it, and then you can pick up and go with it. Doesn't weigh hardly anything. On the back, it's supported by these S-hooks down here at the bottom. It holds the grizzly. This being the grizzly, and it's 1/2 inch flat expanded metal, which is a really good setup. Down on the bottom here, this is a center air feed, being that's where the hose from the motor goes in. It's right on the bottom. I get a lot of glare off the sun right here. It's just coming up. And then it will tie in to the motor. And this is a tip. If you look at my hose and the end of my blower, which is an Echo, it's the best blower you can have, is the Echo. I've had them all. I've had Poulin, I've had Homelight, I've had Ryobi, I've had everything. This is the best, lasts the longest. This one is about 8 years old. But the fittings are a thing. It's 3-inch sewer hose fittings, and that is on the motor and on the hose. So all you do is pick it up and hook it to the motor, just 1/4 twist. There's no tools, there's no clamps to deal with or anything, and it's ready to go. Okay, we're hooked up now. I couldn't hold the camera and twist that on at the same time. I guess I'm just not coordinated, but there that is. So anyhow, a little couple tips on these dry washers. On the bottom of the, I don't know if you can see it here. On the bottom of the grizzly here, there's a slide. And it's under here. I don't know if you can see my fingers underneath there or not, but this slide, I typically leave it wide open. Unless I get into some heavier materials and I need to slow down the flow. And another thing that we do that a lot of people don't, I don't believe in screening with a 1/2 inch mesh screen on a bucket, hauling the bucket over, then throwing the dirt on this 1/2 inch screen on here. We shovel right into the dry washer, and we find really good gold almost all the time. So that's another tip that I think you ought to look into, is just shovel onto the grizzly. Another thing is, if you look right here at the box where the riffle rack is, the riffle rack should be pretty close to level. And what you want your dirt to do is to fall on this slick plate right here. Yeah, there's a slick plate, and here's your opening and below the grizzly. So that material falls there and doesn't hit on your cloth and tear your cloth. But this angle here is really important, and what you don't want it to do, if you're too slow, it'll build up on the slick plate too much. And there's a fine line between too slow and too fast. I see guys running these at a 45-degree angle, and you're just pouring gold out on the ground. So That's another really good tip, to keep it as flat as you can and still keep the material moving down over the riffles. And that will this help you catch much more gold. So this is another tool that kind of goes along with a dry washer. It's a vac pack bucket. Now this is a really expensive setup if you go out and buy it. But you can get a 5-gallon Home Depot bucket, and you can buy this little fitting. Oops, it went too far, sorry. Right there, that's in the bucket. It goes in with 2 screws on the inside. You can get them for like $4.95. And cut the hole in the bucket and make one yourself. And that's all there is to this. It isn't, you know, computer science or anything. It's just a bucket with a hole in it. And what you do is, for those of you who don't have it or don't use it, this is the hose. Let me back out here a little bit on this. And the hose just merely goes in the bucket, like so. The motor comes loose from the dry washer. See if I can do this one-handed. And then the motor merely locks onto the top of the 5-gallon bucket. So now you got a vac pack. You use the same motor you use for your dry washer, and now you got a vac. You vac with this end, obviously. The motor puts a vacuum on the bucket, and it puts it on the hose. I believe that's a 2-inch hose. And you can vacuum out the bottom of your holes and find much more gold. So that's it for just this basic how-to. I'm going to do another video of us running, and probably another one with some other tips besides the ones I just gave you. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, comment, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.